Hey guys, Steeble here. Today we're going to talk about Citadels and World of Warships Legends and what they are exactly and why they matter to you. So briefly, you can just look on the screen here. This area highlighted in red is probably roughly what the Citadel is. The Citadel is the area of the ship that's like the most heavily armored, where it's protecting like the vital components of the ship, like the ammo storages, engines, stuff like that. Whatever it is exactly, it probably varies from ship to ship, and where it is and what location, what the size of it is, definitely varies from ship to ship. Fortunately, there's no real way to like check the armor or the components of the ship at this point, in the release of the game. Hopefully, at some point they'll make it like World of Tanks, where you can like inspect your ship and look at the components and all that stuff and break it down. But as you can see here, this is what I would guess is probably what it is. So basically on most ships, it's going to be in the center of the ship, and it's, from like, it's covering the area between the turrets and like under the smokestacks and stuff like that. So it's either going to be just at the waterline, might poke up just a little bit above, or might be completely submerged. So the shells would have to actually like hit the waterline right before they hit the ship to hit it. But so, I mean, basically, if a ship is broadside to you, like it's showing its sides perfectly like this, then you want to try and be aiming like basically right at the waterline. Is the best way to hit the citadels, and aim for like the center of the ship. If you want to aim at a specific target, like pick a smokestack and aim at the waterline below it, or a turret, or. But like I say, we don't have a way to check for each ship exactly what it looks like, but you can use this as a general model. Alright, so look at a game in Congo here, a Japanese battleship, and I'll kind of talk about the Citadels a bit and also what I'm kind of doing in the game. So Citadels, when you hit them, you rack up massive amounts of damage, so that's why you're trying to hit them. That's basically it. But conversely, you're also trying to protect your ship from getting hit in the Citadel. I think I'll do a video on armor angling here soon, probably like tomorrow would be my guess. If you're watching this on upload date. So we'll talk about kind of protecting your ships a little bit more in that video. But as you're thinking about citadels, think about them in terms of both the enemy ship and your ship as well. And you can hit a citadel with an HE round. It's a very rare occurrence. 99.5 times out of 100 it's going to be with armor-piercing rounds. It's because there's, probably 3-4 layers of armor that the shell has to travel through. So it has to basically be at the perfect angle and trajectory. And, it requires a little bit of luck, too. There's the RNG component to this game, obviously. So we're starting off here with battleships. Pretty much all the, for sure, cruisers and battleships, you want to try and stick together with your teammates and support each other. Battleships need the cruisers to kind of protect them from destroyers, and cruisers need battleships to kind of distract the other battleships from each other. So you can see here we're aiming right at the waterline. That line on the reticle is, it's basically right at the waterline. And you can see when we're hitting that citadel, the damage counter just jumps way up. And I did make a video on aiming earlier in the week. If you guys haven't seen that, you're wondering how to hit these longer distance shots with more regularity. I'll probably put that on like the end of the screen. You can preview a video, so I'll try and remember to do that if you haven't watched that one. It's worth checking out. But in terms of, we'll talk a little bit about the angling. You can see the basic idea is to have as many guns as exposed towards the target, and also keep the angle of your armor as steep as you possibly can towards them. So if you're pointing directly at the ship, not only do you present far less of the surface area for them to hit, but like if you're at a slight angle like this, a lot of the shells that hit the our left-hand side, if you're looking at the diagram at the bottom, their right-hand side, a lot of the shells that they hit straight on there would just bounce straight off and they won't do any damage. So, but again, we'll talk about armor angling more in the future here. You can see I do have a damage party available. A lot of people are wondering why doesn't he put the fire out right away. You do want to be careful. Like for the battleship, if you got a lot of health, I'll probably let one fire burn. Just because of these, especially if you're engaged with like cruisers and stuff like this, so they're all going to be using HE shells, and if you had the potential to get like a torpedo hit or something, and you take that, if you burn the repair party consumable, and then you get another fire, a flood, you know, then you're in serious trouble. So that's something that comes with experience. It's just kind of a feel for the given situation, who you're engaged with, you know, how many targets there are, and so forth. But you can see every time we're hitting these citadels, and I'm basically trying to aim for them. I'm starting to aim, you know, like at that front turret, and then giving the shells a bit of leeway if they go further back. I'm trying to, you know, if the ship's broadside like this, we're going to try and hit it right at the water line. And that's going to maximize your chance for these citadel hits. But going back to our ship, armor angling, like you can see, it's your chance of hitting a citadel shot is at the highest if they're perfectly broadside to you. So the better angling, the better angle your ship is vis-a-vis the opponent, you're basically going to shut down their chance to hit citadels on you, which is going to keep you alive a lot longer. Now you can hit a citadel on all the types of ships. You know, we're going to see them on battleships and cruisers just because destroyers are flying around. It's hard to hit really accurate shots on them, and you know, they typically die if they get shot a few times. So that can have a long-term engagement going on where you're likely to see a lot of citadel shots. So we're luckily able to dodge those torpedoes there. And that's just something, if you're starting off for the game, you'll start to develop a feel for it just based on who's around you in terms of your enemies. Like if you see a destroyer, if you see a cruiser, you'll start to notice like how they're angling their ship towards you, and like if they turn sideways towards you, that means there's a pretty good chance that torpedoes are coming your way. So you should start to think about how to deal with that. You'll see a lot of times when I play battleships, I'll lock my guns like this. I'd say about 8 out of 10 times it's on purpose. Sometimes I got it set on this L3. There's two different options. There's, if you go through the different controller settings, you can either have it on the left bumper or whatever, that L1 I think it is, on PS4 or the equivalent on Xbox. But you can hold that and it kind of has a skyward view, and that'll lock your guns. I don't really like to do that because you have to continue to hold it, and it kind of, I like viewing the game from this angle. So if you go to your controller presets and change it to, I think mine's like preset number 3, it allows you to hit this. It causes problems for me sometimes because when I'm in an intense situation, I usually mash down on my thumbsticks really hard, and that causes problems for me in a lot of different games where the thumbstick acts as a toggle for this or that. But if you lock the guns like this, so why I'm doing this is because it takes the turrets a long time to traverse. So if you lock them like this, I'm planning on turning my ship to my right when I begin firing at these guys. So the guns are already basically facing where I believe they're going to be shooting. Or if I turn towards those guys that I'm heading to, and you know, it has to turn 5 degrees, that'll take 2 or 3 seconds compared to like if I just had the guns floating around randomly. Sometimes it would take you know, a minute before they get on target once you're ready for them to fire. So that's a helpful tip for battleships, especially cruisers. It depends on your turret traverse speed, but usually they traverse a lot quicker, so it's not as important. But good tip for battleship players.
Fighter returning to ship.
You can see here I'm aiming a little bit higher. It's because the ship is going away from me. Now when you're aiming, I kind of forgot to mention this. There's another Citadel hit. That was actually a pretty good shot. I forgot to mention this in the aiming video, but a lot of times when you're aiming at those really far away targets, it's hard to tell. It looks like they're going mostly horizontal to you, but they might be going a little bit away or a little bit towards. If you get in the habit of using your mini-map, you can see the position. You can look at the ship you're targeting on there, and that'll give you a second look at which direction they're facing. So you can kind of use the, you see when you're aiming in on someone, it kind of projects a little field out from your ship towards them, and then you can compare that to the angle of the target on the mini-map. Gives you kind of a bird's eye view of their angling, which will help you target. Okay, back to the Citadels. I mean, you can see we haven't landed a huge amount of shots, but comparatively, I mean, the damage is really high for the amount of shots we've landed in this particular game, so. It's, you know, this is what you're trying to do. When the ship is broadside to you, you're trying to hit the Citadel. If it's not broadside to you, then you have to consider your other options. But just kind of get in the habit of mentally, that's where you're aiming for on the ship. So all in all, that was a pretty good match. I hope that gave you a kind of a basic overview of the Citadels and what they are and why they matter in the game. So let me know below in the comments if you have anything else to add on Citadels, if you have any questions, or anything else that's on your mind. And we'll see you guys all later. All right, peace.